one of the things I always say, and I'm sure I stole this quote from somewhere, it's some book I've read, I'm sure, you win tomorrow today. So I'm very, very much about planning the day before, making sure that everything is in line. So for me, I have everything done for the next day before I go to bed.
Welcome to the Train with Zan podcast,
where our goal is to help you look, feel, and perform like an athlete.
In each episode, we're interviewing experts in training, nutrition, and sports performance
who will help you separate fact from fiction in the fitness industry.
Now, here's your host, a former professional athlete,
certified personal trainer, and nutrition coach,
Zan Barksdale.
Hey everybody, welcome back to episode number 3 of the Train with Zan podcast. My name is Zan Barksdale. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in today. And really, wow, thank you for all of the support we've had over the past couple of weeks. Like I just said, this is episode number 3. And I've had phenomenal feedback from you guys. I've gotten a lot of really nice reviews on iTunes. A lot of people are subscribing. So if you've already done that, thank you. And wherever you're listening to this, whether it be on Spotify or on the Train with Zan website, or maybe you're watching on YouTube, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to leave it a like or leave a comment and click the subscribe button to show your support for the show. That's definitely something that would help me out a lot and help spread the message with many people just like you. One more thing before we get into today's show. I've got a great show lined up with a guest who's really fun to talk with. We have a great conversation and just an all-around interesting guy. But I want to make sure you know that we have show notes, links, timestamps. They're all on the website at trainwithzan.com/003. So this is today's episode. It's the third one. So trainwithzan.com/003. You'll be able to find all the links, the notes, the timestamps that correspond with today's show. And while you're there, go ahead and enter your email address so that we've got that on file. And what we can do is I can send you updates about future shows. When new articles come out, when I publish new videos, you will be the first to know. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's conversation.
Let's get this party started in 3, 2, 1.
All right, guys, I am really excited about today's guest. This is somebody I've followed online for quite a while, at least a year, maybe 2 years now. And he's one of those guys, just seems like he has it going on in all areas of his life, whether it be his fitness or his work life or his relationships. He's got a side hustle online, which we'll talk about. Everything he does, he just seems to be on top of things and seems to be very authentic. So really excited to have him on. He's originally from the Cincinnati area. He's recently moved to Austin, Texas for his full-time job in the corporate world. But he also has a thriving side hustle as a social media influencer. He's got over 100,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, makes a lot of really entertaining videos. Some of my favorites are the ones where he'll choose a celebrity and stick to their diet. Recently, he's done guys like The Rock and Joe Rogan, Warren Buffett, Tom Brady, Post Malone, even Kim Kardashian. So a very fun YouTube channel to watch, a lot of good videos, but also a lot of information is being spread as well. But again, despite being this busy, he manages to prioritize his fitness. And I know that's one thing that a lot of you guys struggle with, is trying to find the time to work on your fitness and work on your job and go with your kids and do all these different things. So that's one of the things I want to talk with our next guest about. So I'd like to welcome Travis S. to the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. And you did your homework, man. It's you nailed it.
Well, I'm trying it. I think in my next life, I want to be a hype guy. So I just want to follow people around and pump them up everywhere I go. So,
well, you've got a gig, man. You've got a gig. I'll hire you anytime.
All right, I may have to take you up on that. So definitely appreciate that. But again, Travis, you got so many things going on, and I think kind of where I want to start off with is, most people, if I had to guess, I think the number one, I guess we can call it an excuse or reason, whatever we want to call it, why people don't, prioritize their health is because they say, I'm too busy, I don't have time. And you could really have every excuse in the book because it seems like you're as busy as anyone, but you definitely make, your fitness and your health a priority. So kind of how does that work for you? I mean, what's your thought process, or maybe what are some things you do to make fitness a priority?
Yeah, so I think one of the big turning points for me was when I was still in undergrad, I believe, doing an internship, and I remember having a conversation with the CFO. Obviously a lot more responsibility than I had on my plate. And he was talking about how he gets into the gym every day for at least an hour. And that always stuck with me. I was like, oh, if a CFO of a Fortune 500 company can go work out for an hour, I probably can fit it into my day. But for me, I guess I have the advantage of really loving the health and fitness lifestyle. So it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. But for those that, have more of an issue getting in, they don't enjoy it as much, at least as of now. What I think the biggest suggestion that I always have for people is don't make it an option. I think that is, at least for me, doing this so early in the morning, that's how I get myself out of bed. Is It's really comes down to programming your brain, because your brain is it's obviously it's very strong, right? And you can really do a lot of things the right way by just changing the way that you're looking at things. So for me, every time I hear my alarm, I've conditioned myself to know there's no option to turn it off and go back to bed. And of course, this takes repetition. It takes time to kind of condition your brain to do that. But once you're able to just ingrain these habits, it really does get a lot easier. So now I'm at the point, I'm 29 now. I started doing this 4 a.m. thing when I was 20, I guess 22, getting out of college or getting out of grad school. So after this long, it's one of those things, it's just second nature. So if you can get to the point where you just push past the suck for the first few weeks, the first few months, it's going to be one of those things that's just as normal as brushing your teeth and going to work. Just like I wouldn't skip a day of work for no reason, I'm not going to skip going to the gym or one of my training sessions.
A lot of really good points there. And, I kind of want to highlight on the fact you talk about getting up at 4 a.m. And, that's absolutely taking all excuses away. You are making it a priority, and getting up at 4 a.m. to do anything. It takes a lot of dedication. But I think you said it starts with the mindset. And, man, that's something I'm a firm believer in, too. I don't work out quite as early as you do. I work out in the afternoon right now. But a couple of years ago, when my work schedule wasn't very indicative of that, I did have to get up early. And I think I got up at maybe 4:45 or 5, and I trained at 5:30 or so. And just like you said, man, it was pretty awful that first probably 2 or 3 weeks that I started. But once I got used to it, I actually kind of really enjoyed it because I just felt so productive throughout the day. We all know the health benefits that working out has, but I feel like just getting up early and starting your day with a win every day kind of starts you on a positive note, and just starts your day with a win.
I think that's a huge factor of it too. It's like when you start your day with that kind of momentum, everything else seems to be a little bit more downhill from there on. Because the last thing you want to do is get to the end of the day and feel like you still have a very big thing to do on your to-do list, right? Because going to the gym, it's a time commitment. It takes some physical effort as well as a lot of mental effort. And when you get later and later into the day, I find more and more things come up, which is why I've really shifted things to the morning, because at 4 in the morning, there's no excuses as to other things you could be doing besides sleeping. And sleeping is just, obviously get enough sleep. So you have to plan accordingly the night before, but it's one of those things that just takes a little bit of mental toughness.
Man, absolutely. So for the people that are listening, maybe hopefully we've inspired somebody to get up a little bit earlier and maybe start their day a little sooner and get in the gym. What would be some tips you'd give? Waking up that early, we've obviously got to go to bed a little bit sooner. Do you meal prep, your meals for the next day, or how do you kind of prepare to start a day that early?
Yeah, because one of the things I always say, and I'm sure I stole this quote from somewhere, it's some book I've read, I'm sure, you win tomorrow today. So I'm very, very much about planning the day before, making sure that everything is in line. So for me, I have everything done for the next day before I go to bed. So when I wake up in the morning, the last thing I want to do is add additional responsibility to myself at 4 o'clock. So what I'm doing is by the time I wake up, I already have my pre-workout made, everything, my creatine, my intro workout already poured in my shaker cup. So all I'm doing is opening my eyes, standing up, grabbing and walking over to the gym. I have a very big benefit of having it here in my apartment complex, which I didn't always have. Back home, I was driving to the gym. So, that's no excuse either. But yeah, planning ahead, and then that way when I get back from the gym, all that I'm doing is I'm grabbing, my breakfast and my lunch, and I'm off to the field, man. I'm off to work.
Man, that's awesome. I just got finished reading a book, actually a couple of books recently that have kind of talked about behavior change, and a lot of it is really changing your environment, it seems like. And that's one thing I do as well. So, in the evenings, for the next day, when I get up, the vitamins and supplements I take and my pre-workout and my amino shakes and everything I have, I go ahead and make them the night before so that when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to think about anything else. I don't have to do anything else. I just walk in the kitchen, grab it, and I can walk out the door and get ready to go. And I think that's a great tip for people. I'm not necessarily a big runner, but I do like to train. I do, cardio on the treadmill. But even if it's just setting out your running shoes or your workout gear, I think just kind of preparing yourself so that you take some things off your plate in the morning are definitely a big help. Even if you're not getting up at 4 a.m., even if you wake up at 6 a.m., I think doing things like that can help you out.
Oh yeah, time is really really irrelevant. I think some people get very prideful of if I'm on the 4 a.m. grind or whatever they want to call it, and what I always try to tell my audience is the only reason I'm up at 4 a.m. is because I have to be. It's out of necessity. It's definitely not because I want to. If you have a flexible schedule and you're able to train at 11 a.m., then I would say go for that, because I would say your workouts are going to be more productive. You're going to be more alert. You're going to have less risk of injury. So there's nothing that makes you an alpha male about doing it that way. It's just I know so many people are in my position, and really the only free hour or 2 hours out of their day are before everyone wakes up. And there's a lot of benefits to that. I mean, you miss a lot of the chaos of the world going on. I'm an introverted person, so I like the peacefulness of the morning. And as you alluded to earlier, just setting yourself up with an automatic win just really it really makes the day start off right. And I've found that it makes everything else kind of a little bit more seamless.
Well, and with that being said, so you're waking up at 4 a.m. You've got a job in corporate America. I believe it's in sales, if I'm correct. What's your daily schedule like? How do you kind of prepare? What are your meals like throughout the day? Because I know that's one area that a lot of people struggle with. Some people can find time to go to the gym, but they just don't find time or the motivation to eat healthy, or whether that be preparing foods or going to the right restaurants or choosing what they put in their mouth. That's one of the big struggles. So how do you kind of combat that?
Yeah, so as far as that goes, I train fasted. It's what works best for me. One thing, because I don't have to waste any time, eating any food in the morning, having it digest. But I just find that I don't have an appetite and I can perform just fine without food that early in the morning. So by the time I get back, I try to be, if I'm going into the office, I try to be into the office by 6:30. If I'm going out to the field, depending on where my appointments are at that day, I could have anywhere from a half hour to a 2 hour drive. So I'm usually out of the house by 6 o'clock. So for me, I've changed this up over the years. I used to be a big overnight oats guy. If you're someone that likes a heavier breakfast with a little bit more carbs in there, I would say overnight oats are the go-to. They're very quick, easy, cheap, and you can just take them anywhere. It's super, super convenient. I've switched that nowadays. I prefer less food during the mornings. So now I am stuck on P Science Select Fudge Brownie protein bars. You tried those out yet, man?
I have not had those yet. I've tried everything except for the protein, and I know you talk about them in all your videos. I got to try that.
Man, they're amazing. They're so good. They're so good. And anyone listening, I'm extremely biased right now. I am sponsored by that company, so take with what I say with a grain of salt. But I'm convinced it's the best protein bar on planet Earth, the fudge brownie specifically. So that is my go-to breakfast, and it's something that I look forward to. Which is, I think that's important. You don't want to just eat food that tastes like crap because it's quote unquote healthy. Like, you can make your food taste good. You can eat foods that you actually enjoy. And that's one of the foods, is high in protein, low in carbs, low in fat. So it just works out for me, and that's going to hold me over till lunchtime. And for me, if I'm in the office, then typically what I will do is I will meal prep, usually like a taco salad type thing. So ground beef, beans, corn, and cauliflower rice. Again, something that's a little bit lower in carbs because I don't like to have a whole lot of carbs throughout the day. I find I get a little bit sluggish, but higher in protein and fats, and then also have some cashews. So that's been lunch for me, honestly, probably since I moved out here. I don't do a whole lot of snacking. And then if I'm out and about, if I'm out in the field running appointments, what I'll typically try to do for lunch is go to a Starbucks. I'm a big coffee fan, as you know, so I'll grab my treat if I'm out in the field. I'll grab an afternoon coffee, and then the Starbucks has this. I don't know. It's like this spinach feta wrap thing. Oh my gosh, man, it's awesome. I love it. It's 250 calories. I know you don't have the luxury of having Starbucks all around you, Zan, but out here in Austin, Texas, man, there's a Starbucks on every block. So that's one of the things I like, keeping things consistent and keeping things simple.
Well, I don't have a Starbucks where I am now, but I've spent many, many hours in Starbucks before, and that spinach feta, it's really good. I've had it a bunch of times, so I agree with you on that. Man, you nailed a lot of things right there, and I want to kind of hit on a couple of them. Consistency, man, for me, that's the key. I think people thrive in environments where they're consistent, that are structured. I think, anytime we have to start with a blank slate each day, I think it makes it really difficult to get in the swing of things and start off. So the other thing that you mentioned that I kind of want to hit back on, you talked about overnight oats a little while ago, and I was definitely planning on unplugging you in PE science at some point, but I'm glad it went ahead and came up because you're one of the guys that got me hooked on it, and the guys that are the people that are listening to the show, if they follow me on Twitter or Instagram, they probably know that I post about it quite a lot and quite frequently, and I always use your code. Your code is Travis, which will save people 15%. So if you're going to try any of their stuff, whether it be their bars or their protein powders, make sure you use code Travis to save yourself a little bit of money. This morning, for the first time, I actually tried the protein for oats. I went with the maple and brown sugar, and man, that thing was really good. I don't necessarily do the overnight oats where I put them in the fridge the night before. I usually wake up and have them hot, but I put that in, and that was good. All their stuff is really good, taste and nutrient wise too. So you're doing something right to be hooked up with those guys.
Yeah. They really spoil me. And I think the taste is amazing and also the consistency. It's a whey casein blend, which if you're cooking anything is what you're going to want. It's going to give you a thicker consistency and it'll taste more like a baked good than, a piece of rubber, which some protein powder has the tendency to do. But yeah, man, PE Science, they treat me well, and I appreciate the plug, and so does Travis Jr., man. You'll be contributing to that college fund. So thank you very much.
Yeah, there you go, man. No problem at all. Kind of hitting on the whey casein blend. I actually got finished reading a book not too long ago, and it's a complete nerd book. It's called The Protein Book. It's by Lyle McDonald. And it's literally, a few hundred pages just about protein. And he talked about the benefits of having whey and casein together, which is, how it's naturally found in milk. Whey casein is a little bit faster. Whey is a little bit faster than casein. Casein digests a little bit slower. And when you put them together, whey kind of, it supports muscle protein synthesis. And then the casein part of it, kind of prevents the muscle breakdown. So you really get the best of both worlds when you're trying to build muscle, or even if you're trying to lose fat. So that's one thing I really appreciate about the PE Science stuff. So I'm hooked. I've had about every flavor, and I had a couple more come in the other day. So always looking forward to trying those out. But when you're on the go, you keep bars with you. I mean, is that something you would keep in your vehicle or take with you and keep in your briefcase so that you've always got something nutritious with you?
Always. Yeah, I don't go anywhere without a PE Science like protein bar, man. They are, for me, I know some people would look at them as processed and not the best option. For me, it's just practical and sustainable. So I always talk to people about, optimal versus realistic. Like if you're eating the optimal breakfast, it's going to be, at home, well-rounded breakfast with healthy fats and healthy carbs or whatever, macronutrient breakdown you want, which sounds great in a perfect world. But for someone like me that, I'm always trying to maximize my days. So I'm trying to find a nice balance between eating well, living right, and doing the things that I need to do in order to advance myself and advance my career. So it's kind of that balancing act for me.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I kind of want to talk about is, how you balance all this stuff. We talked about you wake up at 4:00 every day, and then you go to work and you have a normal day. And then you also find time, to film YouTube and edit the videos. And I know how time consuming that can be. Is that something you mainly do on the weekends? Or you do it at nights, or how do you kind of fit that in your schedule?
So My prior position, I had a lot more free time in the evenings, so I wasn't working as much in the evenings. So now with this position, I do a good amount of work after work, if that makes sense. So I don't have as much time to film and edit as I used to. So most of it is all getting pushed to the weekends, which is why I'm down to 2 videos a week now. But yeah, that's typically when all of that happens. So I try to when I'm at work, I'm all in on work, and that's all that I'm focused on. And on the weekends, when I have a break from my corporate job, I try to go all in on YouTube. And I do try to fit a lot in my life, and that it can be a little bit overwhelming at times. But luckily, I've had a pretty good support system, so I've been able to find a way to kind of make it all work.
Well, it's definitely working out for you. Like I say, you're doing a great job. I remember it seems like not too long ago you got that silver play button for hitting 100,000 subscribers, and now you're, I think, over 115 or so. So I mean, your channel's growing. I think the video you did about the rocks diet recently went viral and man got a ton of views. So definitely the formula that you've got worked out is making it happen for you.
Yeah, and I think that's all personal preference too. Like I think most people, if they tried to live the way that I do, they'd be miserable. So I don't think that it's by any means the right thing to do or the right way to live. But I'm just what I tell people is we're all hardwired differently, and I would not be as fulfilled without doing all the things that I do and without having something on the side to kind of keep me interested and just have another avenue and way to express myself. So that's kind of what's made me do this for over 5 years now. But everybody's different. So I think that's the good part is you don't have to be forced or feel like you should be doing anything really. I mean, you should be doing what provides you fulfillment and happiness, and no one can tell you what's right or wrong.
Yeah, well, I think when you fill your day with things that you really enjoy and you fill your time being around people that you enjoy being around, it makes everything more successful. And I think it shows. I mean, I think it shows in your work. I think it shows probably in your relationships and in your life. I know for me, I was similar to you in some regards where when I kind of started making the transition to do stuff online, I still worked a full-time job. I was a college baseball coach and I put in a ton of hours and worked a lot. And then I'd get home at night and I'd have to work on the computer on my website or on the social media stuff or whatever I was doing. And then I also had to get up early in the morning and pack orders and fulfill orders and do all that type of stuff. But when you find something that you love and you enjoy, it doesn't make it seem like work as much. So I think that's a key. And that's where I feel like a lot of people now, they maybe it's because of social media, I'm not sure, but people are looking to find more side jobs or more side hustles or more gigs. I think there's even a book called The Gig Economy right now where whether it be driving for Uber or it may be starting a YouTube channel, people are trying to find ways to add additional income. And if you're working all day long every day and then you try to basically start a second job at night and you don't enjoy it, I just don't see that working out too well for you.
You can't. You're gonna have to love it if you're doing it on the side because it becomes very cumbersome to get home from work and then start work all over again. So to do something that you don't enjoy is going to be nearly impossible. And I think the whole gig economy comes from, in our hand every second of every day is a cell phone. We're always connected. We have so many opportunities. I think it's great. I think everyone should have a side hustle of some sorts. And when I talk to people about side hustles, it doesn't even have to be for monetary gain. I was talking to someone the other day where their side hustle, he wanted it to be, charity. He wanted it to be giving back, and I think that's just as great because that's what provides him fulfillment. But there's enough hours in the day, and there's enough resources that we have available to us to do more, and that's what's exciting.
Yeah, and you said it, man. I think you said it in one of our opening statements. It's all about your mindset. There are enough hours in a day if you want to make it a priority, and if you want to prioritize, whether it be a YouTube channel or a nonprofit, whatever it is, you can definitely make it happen. And that's, I'll tell you what, it's inspiring. Watching guys like you that are doing so well in so many different areas. It's fun. I feel like my plate is full a lot of times, and I stay pretty busy, but I always want to take on more and do more things. And it's because I see people like you, and I see other guys online who are doing it and who are making it happen. And it's inspiring to watch guys like that. And so I know I appreciate it, and it's got to be really fulfilling on your end to know how many people you're reaching and how many people you're able to impact. I can't imagine probably the messages and comments you get, every week on your videos. So I know that's got to feel really good.
Oh, absolutely. I get emails every day from people and messages, and sometimes it is easy to get lost in it. You're so focused on these numbers, like I need this video to do this many thousands of views, and then you get into a situation where you're meeting a subscriber for the first time and they're coming to you telling you what impact that you've had on their life. Or like one guy I met at the expo who said that he was the first person in his family to ever go to college, and he was going to the University of Cincinnati because that's where he saw me go. And those are the types of things that are going to stick with you forever, to really be able to make a long-term impact on someone's life. It's incredible, and it's all through the internet. I mean, it's insane what we have the ability to do, to be able to make these personal connections these days. And I just feel like if you're not utilizing that, you're kind of limiting yourself, because had I never picked up this camera, my life would be a lot different, and I never would have had the reach that I have today.
Man, that's really cool. I get emails from parents and from kids who follow me for, with baseball stuff going on, and they might send me a testimonial type email, one of those things saying they've watched a video or read a book and it's helped. But I've never had anybody say they're the first person in their family to go to college because of me. So that's really cool, man. You've definitely touched some people, especially that person. So that's something to be proud of, man. That's really cool.
And it's hard. Yeah, it's hard for me because even like everyone that's in social media, if they tell you they're not looking at the metrics, they're lying. If they're not looking at the numbers, and I fall into that trap. And mostly thanks to my girlfriend, who brings me back to reality. It's not all about that. It's about the personal relationship. It's about what effect that you're having on people. Like back in the day, when I was only making food challenge videos, and they were getting a lot more views than my videos do today, but I was getting no fulfillment out of it at all. But then I would make a video, more personal style video, that would get 10,000 views, and I would say, oh man, this video sucked. It didn't, no one watched it. But then the people that did watch it actually got something out of it, and I still hear from people in regards to those types of videos. And when I see them and they tell me about what kind of impact that it had on them, those are the ones that are going to stick with you.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I appreciate you sharing that, because that's something that, you open up and talk about that. That's really neat. I kind of want to talk about, I want to get back to one other area though. We've kind of glossed over a little bit. We've talked about the fitness. We talked about your social media, and how you kind of merge them together. As I was watching some of your videos not too long ago, I know you went through another social media guy's program, Nick Bear. I think he had an Embrace This. I forget which program you went through, but he went through one of his programs.
Yeah.
Do you usually do your own programming, or do you like to follow a program or have a coach? What do you kind of have as your accountability set up, and what
Sure.
kind of holds you accountable?
What I found for myself, even though I feel like I'm competent enough to run my own programming and to create it myself, I found more success leaving it up to someone else. And I got that advice from the guy's program who I'm actually running now, Brandon Campbell, who I've ran multiple of his programs before. And it's because you're going to take a lot of the subjectivity out of it. You're going to take your personal bias out of it when you're running someone else's program, and also just noticing that, hey, there's other ideas out there. So it's a great opportunity to learn. But it keeps you honest. I feel like it's a little bit easier to stick to someone else's program than if it's just yours, because at that point you're only letting yourself down. Whereas, especially if you're posting everything online, you want to set a good example. So when I ran Nick's program, what the biggest benefit of that program to me was I was just getting over some injuries, and that was the first program where I finally felt I could train like my normal self again. So that really brought my confidence back up, because I was hitting weights that I hadn't hit in quite a few years. And most of all, it was just fun. It's fun running someone else's program and seeing new exercises and learning new strategies. So I had a lot of success with that, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. It was called Embrace the Suck. I think the program is still up on his website.
I'm gonna have to look into that and try that. I typically do most of my own programming, but I do have a coach, and I've worked with a few different guys in the past, and I just really like working with different people, just to have an unbiased set of eyes. Whether you're trying to change your physique, or you're working towards a specific powerlifting goal or numbers, whatever it is, it's really easy to be have a skewed perspective when it comes to ourselves, I think. But when you have somebody else, or you're following someone else's program, I think it makes it a little bit easier to stick to, like you said. Actually, one of your PE science teammates, I guess, or athletes with you, Jeff Nipper, just released a program called Upper Lower, and I'm not doing it right now, but I am following along with the information he's putting out. And I think in one of his most recent videos, he put out, one of the reasons, or one of the things that's great about following a program is you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about, what am I going to do today? What should I do? It's laid out for you. And also, when you've got a program that says I'm supposed to go to the gym on Monday through Saturday, you just seem to find time for it, as opposed to kind of just winging it, and I may do this, may do that. So I've not done Nick's program. I do have a couple of Jeff's other programs that I've run for some time before. I've got a program from John Meadows, who I've done some different things with. But I'm a big fan of having a coach, or having an accountability partner, or just, I don't care, like you said, how competent you are. You can be really smart, and there's a lot of smart people out there that still hire coaches. And
Yeah.
I just think it's a good idea.
Well, if you have anything from Jeff Nipper, throw it away, man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a scam artist. Now, for anyone listening, I'm just kidding. Jeff. So Jeff Nippert and I are good friends, and I would consider Jeff to be probably the most genuine person that I've met through social media. Obviously very knowledgeable and good at what he does. Huge YouTube channel, over 1 million people. But what's more impressive about him is just honestly him as a person. So Jeff is a great dude. I learn a lot from his videos. I will probably be running his program at some point, not the upper lower one. That's too much lower body for me, man. I'm trying to be a bro out here and get some biceps, but one of his programs I'll probably hop on before long.
Well, I think I've got it's either, I forget if it's arm training hypertrophy or bicep hypertrophy, but I've got it, and I've read it and looked through it, and I've done it for a short amount of time. I wouldn't say I've done it for 12 weeks straight, but man, he puts out some really good information, and it's really if I had to say this though, it's really put together well. There's a lot of information. Everything is cited. It's super easy.
It's a good
to follow.
value. It's a very good value for what he provides. He doesn't just, a lot of people will just provide you a training program. Jeff is going to provide you the program itself, but then also he will provide you the warm-up stretches and the reasoning behind the exercises and information. And it's laid out in this very nice ebook. I mean, it's pretty cool what he's doing. And obviously just provide even all the free content that he's given you on his YouTube channel.
No doubt about that. One thing I've kind of referenced a number of times in the past is, I know Tiger Woods, he kind of went through about a decade of a slump, and he finally made a little bit of a comeback. I don't know if you're a golf fan or not, but, even Tiger Woods, when he was the best player in the world by far, you have a swing coach. You have somebody that can watch you and learn your swing and learn your mechanics, and help guide you along the way, and kind of be an unbiased set of eyes to help you out. I think anybody who has the resource, to hire a fitness coach should do so if they're interested in that and they want to take it that seriously. And if you don't want to, make that type of commitment, get online, follow people, follow guys like Nick or Jeff, or there's a lot of guys out there that put out programs. Figure out who you like, whose style you click with, and pick up one of their programs. Check it out, because I think it's very beneficial.
And I would challenge you even more to document it online. Really hold yourself accountable. There's nothing that has held me more accountable than saying, hey, I'm starting this program, and I've got to report in to thousands of people every week. Now, maybe you have 0 subscribers, but just posting it on the internet with the opportunity for someone to see, it's going to make you a little bit more determined to start hitting your lifts and making sure that you're sticking with it. So whether it be video on Instagram or a video on YouTube or texting your best friend, it doesn't really matter. Whatever means you want to use, I would challenge everyone to do that.
I think that's excellent advice, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and take that advice myself. I'm gonna start probably. I've got some things going on this summer, so I'm going to continue the program that I'm on now. But when I get back in August, I'm going to start a new program, and I'm going to take your advice. I think I'm going to document it, and I don't know if it'll be a docu-series or we'll put it on YouTube or Instagram or what. But you know, for me, there's just something powerful about making a public statement that you're going to do something, and just holding yourself accountable.
And why don't you start that document today? The whatever program you're on right now, man.
Well, I would. I'm right now. I'm 18 weeks into a cut, so it would be a little bit too late to start one. I spent the fall and winter and bulked up and got to the biggest I'd ever been at a little over 230 pounds, and right now I'm down to about 205. So it's one of those things. I wish I would have documented more. You know, to be honest, I should have taken more video. I've gotten everything written down, but I haven't documented it on video to share with people like I wish I had. And
you're still cutting, man. I say start the documentation now. You know, it's one of those things that I can't tell you how many PRs I've hit because I felt like I had to, because I told my subscribers that next week I'm going for a PR. So the camera's on, it's time to show up. And whether it be, a placebo effect or an actual extra push, it's made an impact for sure.
You know, and I really like how you say that, because everybody has some sort of crowd or some sort of community. They may not have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube like you have, but they may have 500 friends on Facebook and family members that, when they tell them they're going to do something, they're going to help hold them accountable. And I believe in my heart that more people are pulling for you than are rooting against you. So if you say you're going to do something like that, like I said, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, but you're putting it on Facebook, or maybe you're tweeting it to, 200 followers, whatever it is, man, do it. Show those people what you're going to do. And also what you'll do is I think you'll inspire people along the way. Just like people who have been inspired by you. You've got a chance to change your life, but also change other people's lives as well.
Well, that's how I started my YouTube channel. I started a new powerlifting split, and I started bringing my camera to the gym and documented on YouTube. That was 5 years ago. If I never did that, like I mentioned earlier, my life would be a lot different than it is today. It was a great decision, and all it took was it takes a little bit of bravery. It's weird. It feels awkward putting yourself out there like that, and it doesn't need to be on a social media platform. Like I said, even if you just want to start a group text with your 10 closest friends and say, hey, I want you guys to hold me accountable. I know when people have come to me and said, hey, I want you to hold me accountable, I do just that, even if it's just me one-on-one. And that goes a long way.
Well, that's another thing I kind of want to talk to you about, and I'd like to ask you about. How do you get over the fear? What was it like in the beginning, when you start taking your camera with you and you start filming things? That's a lesson I can learn as well. I know other people that want to have more, social media impact. They can learn from you as well. What are some tips, or how did that learning process go? And just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, no one cares about you. That's what I would tell you. When you're walking through the store and you think everyone's looking at you because you're talking to a camera, nobody truly cares. That's one of the things I always think about, because I think about it like this. If I didn't do it, then I wouldn't have made the impact on so many people's lives that I have. That would be the downside. That's a pretty steep price to pay for 7 seconds of judgment from someone that I'll never see again in my life. So when I think of it like that, it's the obvious choice to do what drives me and what I have a passion for doing. But if anyone tells you that it's not awkward walking in public talking to a camera, they're lying. It was when I started, and it is today. But it's just I guess the perception and the way that you look at it is what shifts.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Like you said, I've heard somebody say a similar quote to that before, and it's absolutely right. People, honestly, they don't care. They care about themselves, and that may, sound selfish or sound what it is, but it's the truth. So I think if you walk around and you live your life worried about what everybody else is going to think, whether it be, the clothes you're wearing or the way you wear your hair or holding a camera in public, nobody cares. They're worried about themselves, and it's a good incentive to, get out there. And you may be scared to get on YouTube or get in front of a camera, but man, do it.
Yeah, I mean, when I started YouTube, I could barely walk through my office and look people in the eyes. I was so shy and timid. I would just look at the ground. I was terrible at public speaking. And before I left accounting, everyone considered me like the most extroverted person in the department because I was able to hold a conversation. I could speak confidently and I could get up in front of people. But that's all an acquired skill. So if you can talk to a camera that doesn't talk back and doesn't give you any feedback, then you can go into a room and talk to anybody, because anything is easier. Nothing is harder than talking to something that or someone that doesn't talk back and trying to have a conversation. Trust me.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Like I said, I've tried. I'm not as smooth as you are in front of the camera, but it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. And yeah, I think you definitely get used to it. But that's a good tip. Like I said, I'm definitely going to take that away, and I'm gonna put that to use. And I hope some other people that are listening to this hope they do that as well. But Travis, man, I really appreciate you coming on. A lot of really good insight about how you've managed to balance this life and thrive in all areas. And I really appreciate your attitude and your outlook on things. It's just very inspirational to myself and to the hundreds of thousands of people that follow you online. So we appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a lot of good things. Keep it up. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you. I'll link it in the show notes below. But I know you're on Instagram and YouTube. Probably, yeah. I guess the most important place people follow you is on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, YouTube is my main jam. So it's if you type in Travis S, I'll be the first one to come up, or youtube.com/business and fitness. But YouTube is where I hang out most. I dabble on Instagram a little bit, but that's not something that I really prioritize. But you guys are always free to follow me there. It's just _Travis_S. And I'm pretty accessible, guys. So if you ever need anything, y'all have any questions, you can get a hold of me pretty easy. My emails in every one of my videos. I answer my DMs. Zan can attest to. So if you guys have any questions or need anything, you guys are already in good hands listening to this podcast. So that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Well, that's one of the things I appreciate about you. It's nice to know that, as busy as you are and as many followers as you have, that you still reply to messages and get back to people and do things like that. And like I said, that's kind of how I got in touch with you. I know we talked about it earlier, but you do have one promo code I know for PE Science. It's Travis. Are there any other companies that you work with that you'd like to suggest people check out?
PE Science is my baby, so that's the number one. I swear by it. So if you're gonna take away one, I would say PE Science. I work with other great companies as well, but I just have so many good things to say about PE Science, and I think they have a product for everyone. So I'd highly encourage you guys to check it out.
Well, that's awesome. Well, like I said, again, one more time, Travis, just want to emphasize how much I enjoyed having you on. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this podcast as much as I enjoyed having the conversation with you. I'm going to continue to follow you online and watch all your videos, and hopefully these other people will as well. But thanks again for coming on the show. Definitely look forward to talking to you again soon. And if you get back up to the Cincinnati area, you got to give me a shout, and we'll get together for a coffee, and I'll meet you at a Starbucks somewhere.
Hey, deal, man. It's a sure thing. I'll be back probably a few times over the next year or so. So we'll make it happen.
All right, sounds good, man. Looking forward to talking to you then.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks for listening to the Train with Zan podcast,
where our goal is to help you look, feel, and perform like an athlete.
Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and follow Zan on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
The training doesn't have to stop here. For today's show notes and more information about training, nutrition, and fitness,
head on over to trainwithzan.com and join the team.